they stuck with that game plan the entire time through. And props to Braden Smith and Matt Painter, they did not waver from what they knew they had to do if they wanted to win the game, and they trusted all the way through for 40 minutes. And that's why it's so important to get a point guard who's basically an extension of the coach. Purdue has just gone into Tuscaloosa and silenced all the haters from what was a shaky last week against some non-power teams. They were able to do tonight against Alabama what St. John's was not. And while it wasn't perfect, they limited the points in transition. They held Alabama to 80 points, which was 23 less than what St. John's was able to do. And they went into a hostile SEC arena, and the head of the snake and Braden Smith showed that they can be calm, cool, and collected in pressure situations. The biggest thing with this Purdue team tonight was that their big two were not only great, but super efficient. Kauffman-renn, he gave you 19 points and 15 rebounds on 16 shots. And Braden Smith again gave you 30 basically on 19 shots, 5 of 10 from the three-point line, 10 for 12 from the line, including 10 in a row, if I'm not mistaken. And then, you know what? Shout out Omar Mayer, however you say it. Shout out Mayer. He gave you guys 7 points off the bench tonight. And while they were all within like 5 minutes in the first half, it was at a time that really kept Purdue level and around the game while Alabama was throwing some big time haymakers in the first half from the 3-point line. Alabama made 16 threes to Purdue's 9, but they went 1 and 8 on those long range 2-pointers. And Jimmy Dykes just kept talking about it on the broadcast, and that Purdue was getting Alabama to take shots that they didn't want to, and they didn't make them, and it showed. And Dykes was completely right about that. And the other point with Alabama is that their bench went 3 from 14 from the 3-point line tonight, compared to making 9 threes against St. John's. They just didn't get the production. And while that might be part on them not making shots, it's also a big part on Purdue. They got back and limited those transition takes. They got back and matched up well. I can remember vividly one time they didn't, and Bull Bowen made a 3. But other than that, they did really, really well against Alabama in transition, which we've seen in the St. John's game is not easy to do. And so I think Alabama, you guys are a legit player in the country. Cannot take anything away from you guys. But tonight needs to be about Purdue and this team. Preseason number 1, somewhat shaky start, specifically with that Oakland game. A game in which, though, they still won by double digits, and it's still D1 players. Like, I don't want to really beat a dead horse with this, but even if you dude had an issue with that game, they answered all the bells with their performance tonight. They won the rebounding battle 52-28. 19 of which were offensive rebounds. They made more free throws than Alabama took, and they limited the Tide to 13 points in transition. They followed the script to a T of how to go into Tuscaloosa and win that basketball game. And props to them, they did it for a full 40 minutes and believed it would will out in the end, because it did look dicey at times. And I was watching, and I was like, okay, you know what? Alabama might sneak away with this because it was still so tight. I think the game finished with 14 ties and 22 lead changes. But Purdue was finally able to really just crack through. They went up 8 points with about 5 minutes left, and they held on to win the game by 7. And it was a huge statement, not just for Purdue, but also for the Big Ten, who I think has had the best wins all season long so far. If we look at the power conferences, and Purdue has the best of any of those, which was tonight in Alabama. But we've seen Purdue beat Bama now. We've seen Illinois beat Texas Tech. We saw Michigan State beat Arkansas, and even the Indiana beating Marquette game. They are beating other power teams. And while the Illinois and State game were at home, Purdue has gone into Tuscaloosa in a hostile SEC arena and won the game. And I think every year we kind of hear how great the Big Ten is, and it's usually met with some sort of letdown when we get to the tournament. And I've been one of those Big Ten haters absolutely for the last few years. But now this year, I can say, like, I am on that side of the Big Ten is legit. And they look like the best conference in the country. They look super deep. The top players are all Final Four national champion contenders. Purdue is going to be in the mix. I have Illinois was in my preseason Final Four. I love what I've seen out of them too, and they look great. And I think just with this team, the last final point here with this group, they stuck with that game plan the entire time through. And props to Braden Smith and Matt Painter, they did not waver from what they knew they had to do if they wanted to win the game, and they trusted all the way through for 40 minutes. And that's why it's so important to get a point guard who's basically an extension of the coach on the court. And with Purdue, you've got multiple players like that, lawyers like that, Kauffman's like that, Clough seems like that. Obviously, Smith is like that. And so even just having one makes a difference. But when you can put the whole lineup out there and they trust that and they believe in it, all it does is build confidence and keeps that team steady throughout the entire season and makes them really difficult to be with because you can't get them out of pocket. Last mention on the Alabama St. John's game, but that was part of St. John's issue is that they allowed Alabama to dictate and then they wanted to play that game with them. And if you want to play a 3-point shooting contest and a track meet with Alabama, there are not many teams in the country, if any, that I think can match them on that. Purdue said we're not doing it. And specifically, there was one play, I believe Purdue was up 6. Long range 3 from Alabama, missed. Lawyer got the rebound and he could have ran with it. And I looked at it and thought, okay, he's about to take off. And he stopped, got the ball, stayed in the backside of the half court, got the ball to Smith. They ran their set, 2 points, went up 8, ball game was over. And I'm really, really impressed with this Purdue team. They got a couple of tune-up games coming up. Memphis, maybe not quite a tune-up game, but I think Eastern Illinois was on the schedule as well. And then they got a big matchup with Iowa State on December 6th at home. Really excited to see how this all turns out. I think it's going to be fantastic Big Ten play. Hopefully they don't beat up on each other and then lose in March. I don't think it's going to go down like that. I think all these Big Ten teams are going to be legit players come March and throughout the season. So thanks for sticking around. Like, subscribe, enter your name in the portal, share the video if you liked it, get your comments in. What did you think about this Purdue team? Do you think they're a legit national contender? And we'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks.